Took longer than expected, but one of my Championship 4 picks is now out of the picture. Hey Stuff to 12, a racing gaming joint forces for your entertainment. For once, Carson Hocevar opted out of driving the Gregson mobile. This time it was driven by Mike Rockenfeller again, who I believe I mentioned a few videos ago. Remember last week when I mentioned how sometimes Front Row Motorsports put Zane Smith in their 38? Well, that happened and Todd Gilliland had to drive for Rick Ware Racing for the Charlotte Roval. Tyler Reddick won the pole and held on to the lead for a while, but by lap 4, we already had problems as Ricky Stenhouse Jr. went down pit road with a broken toe link. Somehow he got that squared away and he came back to race. On lap 5, Eric Jones wound up spinning himself out, but got going the right way afterwards and no caution was thrown. Bubba Wallace got to the top 3, and Ross Chastain snuck his way into the top 10. Chase Elliott qualified inside the top 10, as did Kyle Busch, and about a dozen laps in, both of them had continued to maintain those top 10 positions by lap 15. On lap 17, Ryan Blaney started the first pit cycle, and Brad Keselowski missed a chicane and was penalized. Ty Gibbs and Kyle Busch battled for 7th on lap 18, and Corey LaJoie managed to get into the top 10 on lap 22, with Josh Bilicki right behind him in 11th. Unfortunately, Bilicki never found the top 10, as he ended up taking his turn down pit road moments later. Ross Chastain got into the top 3 on lap 24, however, both of the 2311 cars were ahead of him running in the first and second positions. Mike Rockenfeller spun and missed a chicane, coming to a complete spot off the track to serve that penalty, and Tyler Reddick basically led every lap to win Stage 1. When Stage 2 started, Christopher Bell held the lead on lap 30 as Chase Elliott took second from Daniel Suarez. Kyle Busch got to the top 5 on lap 32, and Kevin Harvick's tires locked up when entering one of the chicanes on lap 35, causing him to miss that chicane entirely, and he had to serve a penalty for that. Chase Elliott took the lead on lap 36. Ty Gibbs somehow got into the top 5 on lap 39 as Kyle Larson began to move forward, having needed to start the back due to switch into a backup car. Ryan Blaney started a pit cycle on lap 41, and Corey LaJoie spun out Josh Bilicki and brought out the caution on lap 48. At this time, Denny Hamlin officially locked himself into the next round on points, so even if he crashed out on the very next lap, he's still guaranteed a spot in the round of 8. Chase Elliott tried to go down pit road, but the caution came up before he made it, so he practically swerved to avoid a penalty. It would ultimately serve as a short-term gain and long-term loss, as Chase Elliott would win Stage 2 on lap 50, but not really be in contention for the win due to pitting alongside everybody else rather than a few laps sooner as intended. Kyle Busch took the lead on the restart, and on lap 54, just 4 laps into Stage 3, Michael McDowell lost power steering. So now he has to manhandle his car through the entire Charlotte Roval for the rest of the race. Oh, also, look, Joey Logano's in the top 5, but who gives a shit? Mike Rockenfeller missed the chicane again on lap 55. I don't think this guy is as experienced of road courses as we think he is. Martin Truex Jr. made contact with Denny Hamlin on lap 71, Denny Hamlin spun, and Michael McDowell had a tire go down alongside his continuous lack of power steering, and he ended up hitting the wall. I don't actually remember if this brought out a caution or not, but I'm pretty sure it did. Everyone went down pit road except for Ryan Blaney, who stayed out and took the lead. Ross Chastain was way out of his pit box while he was being started on pit road. Like, seriously, what is this? Ty Gibbs took the lead as Austin Dillon and Corey LaJoie spun on lap 78, and AJ Allmendinger took the lead back on lap 79. And then Eric Jones spun, leaving the already exhausted Michael McDowell with no choice but to smash his car nose first into Jones's, and this brought out the caution. Denny Hamlin's damage from his earlier spin proved to be too much, and he ran out of time on the damaged vehicle policy clock, and he was officially out of the race. Kyle Busch got to 3rd on lap 82, and Andy Lally spun on lap 85, and Todd Gilliland got back to the top 20. Lally tried to get on pit road by going the other direction on the track towards the pit road exit as there was no cars coming, but he ended up completely stopped on the exit of pit road on lap 86, and we got a caution. After the restart, Austin Cindric spun on lap 88, causing Bubba Wallace to have his turn missing a chicane. He came to a complete stop then and there though, so no penalty was dished out. Brad Keselowski spun on lap 94, and Ross Chastain avoided him, but ultimately got a penalty handed to him due to him missing a chicane of his own. And I personally think getting a penalty for missing a chicane is the preferable option over getting bodied by another car. But that was all redundant as Christopher Bell spun on Daniel Suarez for a caution. On lap 95, Ty Gibbs was still holding second behind AJ Allmendinger, and Ryan Preece got into the top 10. Kyle Busch took second away from Gibbs on lap 97, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr.'s car caught fire and the caution was thrown. How is Michael McDowell still in this race? After that, it was basically a mad dash, so to speak. AJ Allmendinger retained the lead as Kyle Busch fell back to third on lap 100. William Byron got slowly closer and closer to Allmendinger on lap 101. Chase Elliott got back in the top 10 on lap 102. Busch caught up to Byron and Allmendinger on lap 104. Allmendinger's car wiggled a little bit on lap 108, which allowed Byron to catch up, but on lap 109, Allmendinger increased the lead for good, and Byron would have to settle for second as AJ Allmendinger won on the Charlotte Roval. It was Allmendinger's third win of his career, and all three have come on road courses of some variety. And as you already know, Zane Smith drove the 38 for this race, and Mike Rockefeller drove the 42. But another piece of news that sprung up is that Carson Hocevar is going to drive the 77 for Spire Motorsports. This leaves Ty Dillon out of a ride for now, and Spire and Trackhouse are certainly cooking something serious in the kitchen. Now let's get into the eliminated drivers. I think everyone knows that last year's Ross Chastain and this year's Ross Chastain are not on the same caliber. Whereas in 2022, Chastain went down swinging in the best way possible, in 2023, he quietly saw himself out. Something definitely changed for Chastain, as despite his second place at Texas, he was awful at Talladega, being the first car out of the race and finishing an abysmal 37th. His 10th place finish at the Roval was not enough to keep him above the cut line, and Chastain made a far hastier exit in the playoffs than last year. This was the only eliminated driver that I got correct out of the 4. I figured Bubba Wallace would survive and make it to the round of 12, but would most likely not make it past there. And what do you know? He went deeper than I expected, I'll admit. But like with Ross Chastain, Keselowski started well with 5th at Texas, suffered heavily at Talladega with 32nd, and his 18th at the Roval wasn't high enough to advance. And a potential championship contender is out. Great. I was almost starting to think that my championship 4 predictions would survive intact, but alas. Unlike Keselowski and Chastain, Busch not only had a bad finish at Talladega, but also at Texas. He needed a win to advance to the round of 8, but ultimately finished 3rd at the Roval, and now Kyle Busch is out of the playoffs. Anyways, that is going to do it for the Bank of America Roval 400 at Charlotte. If you guys like this video, then make sure to leave a like on it, and if you want to see more of this, then make sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss an upload. Take care, y'all. Ace Delta 12 out. Break through it all and don't